Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about the teams and task forces that the government has put into effect and what the government is currently doing to help prevent it. And I'm going to be talking about sentencing and what solutions will be for to slow down human trafficking because there's no way we can get rid of this problem completely. But I'm going to be talking first about the teams that the government has placed. There are three main teams: the Anti-Trafficking Coordination Team, the Human Trafficking Task Force, and the FBI Child Exploitation. Now, these teams were put into place to help prevent human trafficking and to help people that have been human trafficked to build a life. And some of these teams actually help out smaller places into starting to dive into the human trafficking game. They will help them like set up and show them how they can help prevent human trafficking from happening. So first, we're gonna talk about the Anti-Trafficking Coordination Team. The Anti-Trafficking Coordination Team initiative builds human trafficking enforcement efforts and enhances access to specialized human trafficking subjects, matter experts, leads, and intelligence. Now, this team is basically the head team. I want to say, from what I've read and what I understand, this is the head team. So each team develops and implements a strategic plan which leads to high impact federal investigations and prosecutions. The initiative is a collaboration between efforts among the FBI and the Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security, and Department of Labor. There are 12 offices all across the U.S., which, in my opinion, I think that's not enough because close to here, we have an office in Cleveland for the anti-trafficking coordination team, but that's what the anti-trafficking coordination team is. Next, we're going to talk about the Human Trafficking Task Force. The Human Trafficking Task Force was developed in partnership by the U.S. Department of Justice for Victims of Crime, also known as OVC. A Bureau of Justice Assistance, BGA. This guide is a resource to support established task forces and provide guidance to agencies that are forming task forces. So this task force right here is gonna be the task force that helps people like for agencies that are coming up and trying to help prevent human trafficking. This will be the agency that will show them what they need to be doing and what they need to do and what actions they need to take and how to go along with the plans that they come up with. But this is the team that actually and a force that actually basically in simple words it will help train the other task forces. Okay, so next we're going to be talking about the FBI Child Exploitation Task Service, which is FBI Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force operate with nearly every FBI agent. Okay, so the FBI Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force, they work together. They work together with nearly every FBI field office to collaborate with the state and local law enforcement. So the FBI Child Exploitation works with local law enforcement, such as your local police department, the sheriff's office, and they work with also the headquarters of the FBI and all the FBI locations across the whole country to help stop human trafficking. And the ultimate goal for these task forces is to, in general, recover victims and investigate traffickers at the state and federal law. What that means is they will investigate you at whether state and federal, which is a step higher. If you're breaking federal law, you're doing something incredibly wrong for you to be breaking federal law. That's very big time. But next, we're going to be talking about the sentencing. Now, this is where a lot of people don't agree with. Now, the sentencing is if an individual is caught in a human trafficking ring, they may face up a maximum of 20 years, which is it's 20 years. It's not that much compared to the other crimes that people commit, such as murder. And a minimum of 10 years. This sentencing, if you are caught in a human trafficking ring, you can be charged with almost $1.5 million in fines alone, which in my opinion, I feel like that's not enough sentencing to be done for a person, but that's not enough, like, because they're playing with human lives here. The sentencing here is not like reasonable because there are murderers out there and serial killers that have took lives from families and have took people from families, and they're facing life sentences. Some of them may get the death sentence, but For a human trafficker, these people are moving human bodies, living bodies. They're enslaving them into like a trafficking ring. It's basically modern day slavery. Lord knows what happens to these people after they're trafficked, because some people have desires and stuff like that. But these people are playing with human lives, and for them to only get a maximum of 20 years, that I don't believe that enough is being done there to help keep people like this behind bars. But next, we're gonna talk about the solutions. The solution, one solution would be that would be if the FBI and the human trafficking teams were spread out and place teams in each state. So there are 12 um, teams, human task forces teams, located all through the U.S. And some of the places are like in Cleveland. I want to say, hold on, I have a list right here. In Miami, Memphis, Minneapolis, New York, Portland, and Sacramento, Kansas City, El Paso, Atlanta, and Boston. But I believe that if they spread out the teams more across the U.S., like for instance, one team for each state, it will slow down like a lot, because just the presence of the team there would put fear into human traffickers' hearts that they have a higher chance of getting caught. And for instance, if they get a tip, these teams have to travel many miles to go to the tip location, or if they're holding people hostage for like so they could transport them to a different state. These teams are going to take a long time for them to get there. Now, if there was a team in each state, it would be a different situation, because they could come there faster than a team from out of state can come there. But what another solution would be if we host like a public awareness event in order to like spread awareness for human trafficking, and this will just get the public's attention. The public's attention, showing what some signs of human trafficking are, what people are doing to kidnap people and traffic them. This will prepare the public if something was to happen to them. This will give them signs. Uh, Something that the government should consider would be adding these people to the sex offenders list to keep the community informed of what type of people are living in their neighborhoods. This will help everyone out and get people not to deal with these types of people. But by the government adding these people to like a sex offenders list or a human trafficking list, this will show that the people in the community in the area that you have such a so and so is living near you, and you should be careful, because Lord knows what these people have in mind and what they're planning. So if you're kind of human trafficked, I believe that you should be put on a list, and they should just let the community know that you are there, so the community can better prepare itself for what's to come next. For God forbid somebody is getting kidnapped, the FBI and the community will have an idea of who it may be because of who lives in that area. But that's all I have to talk about. I'm gonna pass it on to the next teammate.